But let's go on to something which I'm hoping is a little bit better, and that is Devotion on Netflix.
Devotion, yes, yeah.
So, Sean, tell
So
us about Devotion.
okay, so Netflix, it's early 1950, and this lieutenant gets transferred to fighter squadron, a naval fighter squadron, and he bumps into a African American, Jesse Brown, who's like the only African American pilot in the squadron.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's one of these things where he lives in a sort of white neighborhood, this pilot, but the Tom, who sort of makes friends with him, actually goes to his house, and they become quite close, even with all this racial stuff. And they get deployed to the Mediterranean for anti-Russian thing, and then the Korean War breaks out. Oh yeah. But so first of all, it's all about the Chance Voigt Corsair. Now the Corsair is a World War II plane it's a classic shape. It's got the folded wings. I quite liked it, and it's about them. So these are like good rugged planes that take off of aircraft carriers. So where they're heading out, they're training, landing. So you've got like a period of the film where you've got all the squadrons, what they're doing, the takeoff, landing, all the practicing and things like that. And then they end up in sort of the Korea area, and the Chinese have just invaded Korea, so they have to go on these missions. So they go on a mission to destroy people and all of that. And the Jesse decides that he's going to do a mission that he hasn't had orders for, and so he does a bit of a mission. On the way back, he gets before this happens, the wife says to Tom, the white pilot, says, make sure he comes back with you, make sure bring him back to me. So anyway, so we're back to Korea, and in Korea, and he gets sort of shot down. He has a bit, there's like playing, can you make it, typical. I don't know if people have seen aircraft movies, but so it's pretty much,
you see that the show. Sorry, okay, carry on. I'll tell you what I'm going to say.
Yeah. Okay, so you've got one plane in trouble, and the other pilot's by him saying, "Can you make it? Can you make it?" Been in a lot of films to do, and then obviously he crashes, and he's down there, and the other guy decides that he's going to crash as well to try and save him. So he's sort of disobeying orders. And then there's the best part of the movie, which I like, is they actually send over Wildcats, which are like the one of these planes to try and sort of help protect them from. So there's a little bit of action that's sort of going on, and
no, because the thing that got me about this film is that what I wanted to know is that is it your typical aircraft Air Force movie where because
it's like a Korean Top Gun,
exactly. like I know, we had Red Tails. Red Tails was made a couple of years ago, which was essentially like World War II Top Gun. It was said, well, the whole idea was that it was supposed to be about the black airmen, but it was really just World War II Top Gun. That's what they did. And with this, and I know that I've heard about the Devotion, what I've heard about the film, and the fact that it has Glenn Powell, who was in Top Gun Maverick, in it and all that. And it made me wonder, is this just like, an air movie? Like, and when you said the whole thing about can you fly beside each other, can you make it? I'm like, we've seen that in a lot of aircraft, military aircraft movies. So, So does this? So okay, we know that this is a typical aircraft movie. Does it have anything else to recommend it?
Not really. It's pretty standard fare. As I say, it was quite interesting. For me, the interesting part of the film was the aircraft itself. I mean, I guess some of them would have been CGI'd because they're so good at that now. But because, as I say, the Voigt Corsair it's one of those ones that just always. I mean, obviously, when I was young, we used to know all the World War II planes. British, Japanese. But there's certain ones that are iconic, I think, like obviously the Spitfire, and the Voigt Corsair is like one that you see all the time with the folded wings, the clipped wings. It's a classic plane. So that was quite interesting. And as I say, the bit of action at the end where they actually get Wildcats, which were like World War II planes again, but they were more, they didn't have they were sort of flat wings rather than the fold up wing. But yeah, on the whole, basically, Korea Top Gun. There was another. I remember there's a film I've seen a couple of times which I loved called The Bridges at Toko-ri, which is a William Holden film, which was far superior to this one. So I mean, it's okay. It's standard fare. It's not like we haven't. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Top Gun in World War II. Yeah. Let's just call it.
Apparently, it's based on a true story. So the characters in this were actually like real. So the character you spoke about, I think, was it Jesse Brown? Jesse Brown was actually a real person who was the lone black airman in the division. So and the film was based on a book as well. And I always feel like it's a bit like how we had when we reviewed Till, and we had someone who sort of like was questioning, shall we say, was questioning your review of Till and all that, was going like, don't you? I think for me it was kind of like almost of saying, don't you know about the history behind this thing? And I'm kind of like, well, no, we don't know about the history of this thing.
No, we don't. We didn't know the history of that.
We don't know the history of this thing. It was thousands of miles away in a totally different culture. These things, we have no reason to know the history about these things, and So with things like I'm happy about these films because every now and then they do highlight these things about the fact that, like, we didn't know there was a lone black airman in this division or anything like that. But at the same time, I feel like I feel like to get more films like this, they're not all going to be home runs. Sometimes they're just going to be standard, okay, fine, 3-star movies.
You might, yeah.
Yeah,
is that what they call? Is that what they call popcorn movies?
Yeah, popcorn movies. Yeah, popcorn movies.
Yeah,
and I think I'd rather have a popcorn movie that tells you something than a popcorn movie that just is just there.
It doesn't.
I'd rather have a popcorn movie about this than a popcorn movie about somebody killing people. Like, oh my God. Okay. Anyway, first of all, you tell us your star rating. I'll talk to you about some feedback, and then I'll talk to you about you. Okay.
So yeah, well, probably a 3-star, a popcorn movie. It's not like special. It's not out the way, and it's got some fairly good moments. But the main stars are the planes. So 3 stars.
3 stars for Devotion. The main stars are the planes.